guys, welcome to another math lesson on our YouTube channel. In this video, we'll be learning how to multiply and divide with negative fractions. So by the end of this lesson, we should all know the rules of multiplying and dividing negative numbers, be able to multiply negative fractions, and finally be able to divide negative fractions. Alright, so as mentioned in the last lesson, the techniques for addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division of positive fractions also applies to negative fractions. So let's go through the rules of multiplying and dividing with negative fractions. So the product or quotient, so the product is the answer to a multiplication and quotient is the answer to a division of two fractions of the same sign is a positive fraction. So in this first case, we have two positive numbers. If it doesn't have a sign, it just means it is positive, so that gave us a positive answer. In the second one here, we have two negative fractions. That also gives us a positive fraction. Same with division or a quotient. We have two positive fractions over here. That gives us a positive answer. And we have two negative fractions over here. That also gave us a positive answer. The second rule to multiplying and dividing with negative numbers or negative fractions is the product or quotient of two fractions of the opposite sign is a negative fraction. So we have one positive here and one negative here. That gave us a negative fraction. We have one negative here and one positive here. That also gave us negative. Same with division, exactly the same thing. One positive, one negative. That gives us a negative answer. And one negative fraction and one positive fraction. That also gives us a negative fraction. Alright, so let's go through a few examples before you go off and have a go by yourselves. We have 2 over 3 here multiplied by negative 4 over 5. So that is one positive and one negative fraction. So that means our answer will be a negative. So we have 2 times negative 4. That gives us negative 8. Over 3 times negative 5. That gives us 15. So our answer is negative 8 over 15. Alright, now for the next question, we have two negative fractions, one on the left and one on the right, and we're multiplying them together. And if we look at the rule above, that says that will give us a positive fraction. So let's multiply this together. Negative 6 times negative 3, that gives us 18. Negative 5 times negative 4, that gives us 20. And remember, always check if you can further simplify the final answer. In this case, the top and the bottom have a common factor of 2. So let's divide them both by 2. Divide the top by 2 and the bottom by 2. And that gives us 9 over 10. And that will be our final answer. Alright, so have a go at these two questions by yourselves now. Just pause the video here and take a few minutes to work them out. And just unpause when you're ready to go through them with me. So for this first question, we have a positive fraction to the left and a negative to the right. So we have one of each. That means our answer will be a negative fraction. So 3 times 6 will give us 18. 5 times 7 gives us 35. And our answer is negative, so we pop a negative at the front, negative sign at the front. Once again, always check if your final answer can be simplified. In this case, it can't, so this will be our final answer. Alright, now this one on the right, we have two negative fractions. That means our answer will be a positive number or positive fraction. So we have 3 times 2, that gives us 6, over 4 times 9, that gives us 36. In this case, this fraction can be simplified further. Both the top and the bottom can be divided by 6. And if we do that, that gives us a value of 1 over 6. Give yourself a tick if you got those two correct, and we'll move on. Alright, now moving on to division with negative fractions. Remember, the same rules apply. So we have two negative fractions here. That means our final answer will be a positive fraction. So we have negative 2 over 5 divided by negative 3 over 4. Remember, when we divide, we need to find the reciprocal of that second fraction. So that just means flipping them upside down and change the division sign to a multiplication. So that gives us negative 2 over 5 times negative 4 over 3. And then we just proceed like it is a normal multiplication question. So we have negative 2 times negative 4. That gives us 8. Over negative 5 times negative 3. That gives us 15. So our final answer will be 8 over 15, as it cannot be simplified any further. Alright, moving on to the next question. We have a mixed number this time. So remember, if you have a mixed number for multiplication and division, always change the mixed number to an improper fraction. So let's change that first. 1 times 3, that gives us 3, plus 1, that gives us 4 over 3, and remember to keep the sign that is in front. So that becomes negative 4 over 3 divided by 3. So if we want to divide, we need to flip the second fraction and change the sign to a multiplication. 3 is the same as just writing 3 over 1, so if we flip that around, it will be 1 over 3. And just proceed like it is a normal multiplication of fractions. Negative 4 times 1 gives us negative 4, and negative 3 times 3 gives us negative 9, so it becomes negative 4 over 9. That also cannot be simplified any further, so that will be our final answer. Alright, so these last two questions will be the final questions for this video, so have a go at them by yourselves and just unpause when you're ready to go through them with me. Alright, so for this first question on the left, once again we have two negatives, so that will give us a positive answer. So let's start by writing this down again. Negative 2 over 3, remember, change the division to a multiplication and find the reciprocal or flip that second number, so that becomes negative 6 over 5. And remember, in a multiplication, always simplify anything that you can before you proceed. And we can only cancel or simplify diagonally and vertically, never horizontally. So in this case, we can simplify the 3 and the 6. They are both divisible by 3. So 3 divided by 3 gives us 1. 6 divided by 3 gives us 2. Negative 2 times negative 2, that gives us 4. Negative 1 times negative 5 gives us 5. So our final answer will be 4 over 5. Give yourself a tick if you got that correct. And this last question here, it's also a mixed number, so we just need to convert that to an improper fraction. So how we do that, we multiply 2 by 3, that gives us 6. Add 1, that gives us 7 over 3. And remember, always keep the sign that was originally in front of it. Divided by 4. And remember, 4 is just the same as 4 over 1. So we need to flip that over as well. So that gives us negative 7 over 3 multiplied by 1 over 4. There's nothing we can simplify or cancel at this point, so we'll just move on to multiplying it. So negative 7 times 1 gives us negative 7. Negative 3 times 4 gives us 12. We'll pop the negative sign in front, and our final answer will be negative 7 over 12. Give yourself a tick if you got that correct as well. So that brings us to the end of this lesson. Hopefully you guys learned something from that. And hopefully by now you guys all know the rules of multiplying and dividing negative numbers, can multiply negative fractions, and finally can divide negative fractions. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.
Boom! 2 plus 2 is 4, minus 1, that's 3, quick maths.